Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, we will talk with Jennifer Lemmerman of Project Bread about their effort to provide free meals for all public school students in Massachusetts. First, though, it's weather and news for you. Currently in Quincy, lots of sunshine out there, but it is frosty, 17 degrees. It'll only warm up into the mid-20s this afternoon, but that wind is going to make it feel a lot colder. Another bitter cold night tonight with Arctic air, lows dropping off into the mid-teens. A little better in the temperature department tomorrow, more clouds. Highs tomorrow in the upper 20s. Valentine's Day looks a little white, a little light snow, maybe a couple 3 inches or snow. High Sunday into the low 30s. Quiet here on President's Day for Monday with sun and clouds in the low 30s. Next chance for snow will be on Tuesday. Again, sunshine and 17 degrees in Quincy right now. In the news today, over 1,000 Quincy residents aged 75 and older have received their COVID-19 vaccinations at the Mannett Community Health Center Clinic at 180 Old Colony Avenue. This week, mayoral spokesman Chris Walker told the City Council that the more vaccines that Mannett receives, the more people can get their shots.
With all of you, our issue right now is not staffing up, not scaling up, not operational. We can provide the resources. We have a number of firefighters that have been working at the Mannett Clinic as observation folks, making sure people have that 15 minutes before they leave the facility. We have available nurses in our school department. We have volunteers, and some of those folks have already gotten in touch with Mannett and working for Mannett. We have the resources to staff up. Right now, the issue, and it's getting better every day, is supply. Demand continues to far outstrip supply right now. That's to be expected. I don't think that should really surprise anyone, but that's going to continue to get better. The second component of our vaccination effort involves a partnership with the Professional Firefighters Association of Massachusetts, Brewster Ambulance, the Quincy Fire Department, and MassCon Medical. It's a logistics firm. They've come up with a pilot program that we were among the first to partner with them on to get into some of our senior buildings, and do on-site mobile vaccination clinics.
The city is running a call center to help residents make their vaccination appointments. Call 617-376-1470, or for Chinese language assistance, 617-376-1298. Information is also available at the websites for the city and for Mannett. First dose vaccines are done on Mondays and Wednesdays. Second doses are given on Thursdays and Fridays. And Mannett's still running a COVID testing clinic at that same site on Tuesdays. Quincy man's been charged with chasing after a woman while he was armed with a knife in Quincy Center back on Monday. Police say 42-year-old Scott Newman was spotted by witnesses chasing after the woman on Foster Street Monday afternoon. The woman screamed for people to call police, and she managed to escape. Newman's now charged with punching the window of a car that had stopped to help the woman. Officers arrested him at the scene and also did recover a knife. 14 Quincy College students have completed the classroom portion of their training to become a certified paramedic. The EMT course began in January of 2020, just before the pandemic hit. The program had to shift to online learning for 3 months before returning to the Quincy College campus in Quincy Center last summer. It was one of only a few in-person classes that were held at the college during the height of the pandemic. Now, the students enrolled in the program say they wanted to be part of the group of first responders helping during the COVID-19 crisis. The program is a collaboration between Quincy College and the Comprehensive Medical Training Institute in Weymouth. The Quincy City Council wants the school department to do all it can to get students back into the classroom as soon as possible. The council this week approved a resolution sponsored by Ward 3 Councilor Ian Kane, encouraging the schools to bring students back for in-person learning. That measure passed on a 5-4 vote, with some councilors saying they shouldn't wade into the school department business. Kane disagrees.
the city council approves the education budget, and it's the biggest component of the city's budget. So it is our business. We certainly have the right and to make opinions on certain things. There was no criticism involved. This was a piece of support, as I said. And so there was commentary all over the place, but there was, of course, no malintent, and everyone can have their opinions. Everyone does, as you very well know. But this was just meant to say that, hey, whatever resources you need, or however we can get this done, let's get it done. Just let us know how we can help.
Beginning February 22nd, students in grades 1 through 3 will have the option of returning to classes 4 days per week if they're in the hybrid learning model now. Students who are in the fully remote learning program will not be offered that option. Norfolk County Register of Deeds Bill O'Donnell says that he is grateful that a recent fire at the registry building in Dedham Square wasn't more serious. O'Donnell says an electrical fire in the basement of that 1903 building during the early morning hours of February 6th could have been much worse. A faulty light fixture is to blame, and O'Donnell praised Dedham firefighters for their excellent response in keeping damage to a minimum. O'Donnell says that all of the registry records are backed up electronically in off-site locations, but he says if the building had been lost, there would be a substantial economic impact to everyone involved in real estate and development. The building recently underwent a total renovation. Point Webster Middle School in Quincy expects to save 78% on their electric bill with the installation of new LED lighting. City recently replaced almost 1,100 lighting fixtures in classrooms, hallways, and bathrooms with new energy-efficient LED lighting and occupancy sensors in that 100-year-old building. The city used a $200,000 state grant to pay for more than half of the project and a rebate from National Grid to pay for another 20% of the job, with the city picking up the rest of the cost. Officials expect the project to pay for itself in 2.5 years through lower electric bills when all students return to classes full-time. The city hopes to apply for another Green Communities grant later this year. Quincy was designated a green community in 2011. Coming up, Jennifer Lemmerman of Project Bread. That's next.
Hey, Massachusetts, what do you want to get back to?
Giving hugs, seeing my friends.
Taking my wife dancing.
I want to get back to taking my kids on play dates.
I want to get back to Fenway.
I want to get back to partying.
We've worked hard, but we're not there yet. So we still need to wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth. Keep our distance, at least 6 feet apart. And get tested. It's free and available. We can get back masks. Learn how at mass.gov/getback.
Podcasting 101. Create your own podcast using the QATV audio suite. Learn the basics of the audio board, how to take phone calls, and add music from a CD, SD card, or your phone. Participants will also learn interview skills to help get the most out of your guest. To register for a session, email Carol Themin at cthemin@qatv.org or call 617-376-1440.
Welcome to the program today, Jennifer Lemmerman of Project Bread. She is the Senior Director of Government Affairs to talk about a new initiative that Project Bread has called School Meals for All. Jennifer, thanks for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's our pleasure. We're happy to learn about this initiative and also let our viewers know about it. Surprise to me that School Meals for All isn't already just a given. Why is this even an issue?
Yeah, so, I think everybody's sort of used to the system of school meals that we currently have and that most of us grew up in. It's been in place since World War II, and it categorizes children into three categories based off of their family's income and, a variety of factors that are based off of need. And so kids either receive a free meal or they pay a reduced price or they pay a full price. And every year kids have to their families have to fill out the forms to prove which category they would fit into. And that's just the system that we've always known. But what we're seeing is that system is not working. And there are lots of kids who really need the support of nutrition while they're at school. We know that kids can receive up to 50% of their calories while they're in the school building. And that of the food insecure kids in Massachusetts, of which there are far too many, about 27% of those food insecure kids don't qualify for the support of a free or reduced price meal. So we are definitely missing children who are going hungry while they're in school, and hungry kids can't learn.
I think this is going to be news to a lot of folks, that there are barriers to children who otherwise would benefit from these meals, particularly now during a pandemic. Are those barriers erased, at least temporarily?
Yeah, so when COVID-19 happened and the schools shut down, almost overnight, this barrier came down, this barrier that we, were told for decades could never come down. And what happened was the federal government issued waivers that allowed for school meal sites to feed all children, 0 to 18 years old, could go and receive a breakfast and a lunch at these meal sites throughout their communities. And this was really a recognition by the federal government and implemented by the state government that at the very base level, what we need to be doing is feeding our kids. And so right now that's still in place as the pandemic continues, and we know that this is needed. This was needed all the time. COVID-19 has certainly exacerbated and shed a light on the issue of food insecurity, but it was always here. So, in Massachusetts, the rate of food insecurity prior to COVID was 9%. So, almost 1 in 10 of our neighbors. It's now 18%. And when you add children into the household, it's up to 22%. Another piece that's very important is that the disparities in those numbers, when you look at Black and Latino households, those numbers go up to 36% and 31% respectively for households with children. So, this is one of the federal nutrition program of school meals was meant to respond to this need, and it's a need that's always been there.
So why can't the barriers just stay down then? And why does it need, legislative action to do that?
Yeah, so this is, these waivers were meant to be temporary. The federal government is eventually, we assume, is eventually going to end these waivers. And at that point, we revert back to the old program. And so we will see all these families that have gotten such a lifeline from these school meal sites, finding themselves again in a situation where they need to make a choice between, school lunch money and the electric bill. And so at Project Bread, we believe that barrier shouldn't go back up. There's no reason to revert back to a system that we know wasn't working. So we have brought together the Feed Kids Solve Hunger Coalition, which is a broad coalition of stakeholders in Massachusetts, from food security advocates to children's advocates and healthcare providers and businesses, who are saying we can't go back. And we need to make sure that children in school, no matter who their family is or what their situation is, that they can receive the nutrition that they need to learn. So we have partnered with Senator DiDomenico and Representative Vargas in the state legislature to file legislation that would require that all children in school receive a meal at no cost to themselves or their families.
Okay, so would action at the state level suffice, or does this need action, by Senator Warren, Senator Markey, and the federal level as well?
Yeah, I mean, it can happen in either place, actually, and we have seen bills on the federal level that thus far have not been acted upon, to fruition. They have not passed, and so at the state level, we're saying we can't wait. So it can be passed at the state level, but of course, we would love to see action at the federal level.
Sure. Has there been any kind of cost estimate, Jennifer, as to what the impact would be on the state budget if those barriers were removed?
Sure. Yeah. So the way that we've crafted this legislation in partnership with all of the stakeholders and with the legislators is to make sure that we're maximizing the federal programs. There are federal programs in place, and in fact, right in Quincy, our child nutrition outreach program is working closely with schools to make sure that they're able to take advantage once things sort of go back to the waivers end, that they're able to take advantage of these federal programs and feed as many kids as possible. Our legislation would make sure that's happening across the state and would bring in as many federal dollars, but of course the state would have to pick up the rest of the kids that under our current system the federal government doesn't pay for. So we do have an estimate of how much that might cost, but it depends greatly on how much the participation increases. We believe that kids who are already who are already in the categories that receive meals, the participation would increase greatly there too, because we know that two of the greatest barriers are cost and stigma. This legislation would end the stigma. So it makes sense that participation would increase as well. We believe really that the cost of doing nothing, the cost that we're on, the trajectory of child food insecurity is much greater than what this legislation would cost. We know that the health implications and the educational implications of kids not eating at school are far greater than what it would cost to feed every kid in the state.
Yeah, you mentioned the stigma. I think that's important to point out that if you were to succeed with this legislation, really students would never know, if they're getting a meal provided to them or not, because they're all basically on an equal playing field at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you mentioned also here in Quincy, I know the director of nutritional services for the public schools, Sarah DeFore, is a strong advocate of this for you.
Yes, she's been wonderful. Quincy Public Schools have been so proactive about making sure that kids are getting fed. And, just even this summer with the school meal sites, many were operated by Quincy Public Schools, and there were 63,000 meals served to kids in Quincy just this summer, just in July and August. And that was a threefold increase from 2019. So it shows the need there. And so Quincy has been, public schools and Sarah and our child nutrition outreach team have been working really hard to make sure that, we hope this legislation passes and all kids are fed, but also in the meantime that Quincy is able to take advantage of the programs that are available to feed kids.
Any sense right now, Jennifer, for how it's being received on Beacon Hill?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's been a wonderful reception so far. It was introduced a little bit over a week ago, and we have over 50 co-sponsors in the State House that have enthusiastically signed on and said, this is absolutely what we need to be doing.
Okay. Is the Quincy delegation part of that? Do you know?
We have some, but we will keep working on it. And we know that this is needed in Quincy, just like it's needed all over.
Yeah, I know from the outset of the pandemic, Project Bread has really been on the front lines of making sure that like the Greater Boston Food Bank and local food pantries have enough supply. It's just been a need that has not stopped.
Yes, absolutely. And it's going to continue. This is something that is a long-term issue. And even as we recover from this pandemic, it's going to continue to be a need.
Are you able to, during this pandemic to have any kind of in-person events for Project Bread?
So we have our annual Walk for Hunger, which I think a lot of people know Project Bread because of the Walk for Hunger. It is the oldest walk in the country. It's our sort of premier event. It will be virtual this year. That's just the way we have to do it. But last year, the reception was amazing. And people, I think, understand right now how much of a need this is. And so we just opened registration this week. We definitely invite everyone to go to projectbread.org and join us. You can walk in your neighborhood. You can do it whatever way makes the most sense for you, but it helps support a cause that's really needed right now.
And I always like to point out that the very first Walk for Hunger was held right here in Quincy.
That's right.
Yep. And keep up the tradition, I am sure, again this year. If folks would like to learn more about this initiative, Jennifer, or learn more about Project Bread, or maybe donate or volunteer, what are some good ways for them to do that?
So they can certainly visit our website, projectbread.org. If you want to learn more about the legislative campaign and the coalition, we are the Feed Kids Solve Hunger Coalition. You can visit us at feedkidsma.org. You can always reach out, and we would love to have you walk. We would love to have you become an advocate if you're interested in working with us in that capacity. But we definitely have something for everyone, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's so critical. Kids have been through so much already through this pandemic. Providing a simple meal, I know, is one of the really groundwork pieces of a child's development that is needed for anything else to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Anything else we should let folks know about right now?
I think that covers it. We're gonna, you'll be hearing a lot from us as we move forward on this initiative and also the walk, and we look forward to continuing this progress and making sure that we are taking the steps necessary to end childhood hunger in this state.
Great. Well, please keep us updated on the progress of this bill, and check back again if we can do anything to get news out for you. We'd be happy to do that.
But thank you very much. We absolutely will.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Checking the weather for you once again for today. Just bright but cold. Temperatures only in the mid-20s this afternoon with wind chills colder than that. Be prepared for another frigid night tonight, down into the teens with wind chills below zero. A little warmer tomorrow, more clouds too. Highs tomorrow in the upper 20s. Look out for some light snow around on Valentine's Day. Could be a couple 3 inches with Sunday's highs into the low 30s. And President's Day Monday looks quiet, partly sunny, high of 33 degrees. Thanks again to Jennifer Lemmerman for joining us today from Project Bread. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. We're off on Monday for President's Day. Please join us again next Friday. In the meantime, you can always visit our website anytime, QATV.org. You'll find our latest programs, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at Quincy Access Television, I'm Joe Catalano. Please stay safe.